This is game.
You want to keep this recording?
Oh yeah, we're doing this.
Okay then. This is
I
Dave.
just love the look on your face that you were like terrified. You know what this is. We promised you a video on the Black Marsh, and that's exactly what you're getting.
A video on the Black Marsh.
Yes, the Elder Scrolls 6 possible location, Argonia, which it might actually be called Argonia. It could be called Black Marsh. Who knows?
It's really got two names.
Well, and it's funny is everyone's going off the name of the province. Only 2 of the 5 Elder Scrolls games have been named after provinces.
It was Morrowind province, Skyrim province.
And then
that's true.
The other 3, Arena, Daggerfall, and Oblivion, were not. So it could be after anything. They've never called one after a race, so I don't think calling it Argonian would be very good.
Or Argonia, a little different.
But it could have a different name. But we're just going to go off the idea that it would be on the name of the province.
Yeah, I have a feeling it'd probably be called Black Marsh. But,
Yeah.
you know.
And, well, either or. And we're going to be discussing a couple things about it. We think, obviously, why we think it could be the next game based on...
Because it should be the next game.
Yeah, well, why we want it to be the next game based on story possibilities. We'll talk about the land, the hardships of actually making a game in Black Marsh versus what would be easy. And we will talk about potential... factions or quests or anything like that. We're basically going to be going through what we think it would be like if it was in Black Marsh and why we think it should be like that. So the first thing to cover would be what is the Black Marsh like, because going to any province, you kind of want to know what it's going to look like before you get there.
Here's a hint. It's in the it's in the title. Black Marsh.
Not quite. Close. Going by the guidebook to the Empire, it is the trash heap of Tamriel. That is literally
Black
what they call it.
Marsh.
And as Dave's saying, it is a marsh. It is very dark. There's a reason it is called the Black Marsh. Argonia is actually the nation name. I guess the Black Marsh is slang. But there's also forests. So there's swamps, marshes, forests, and there's, of course, cities.
Are there deserts?
No, Dave, there's no deserts.
Good.
And that, in and of itself, doesn't sound too unique. But the thing with the Black Marsh is it's got very thick, dense forests, which we haven't had in the game yet.
Mm-hmm.
Which would be a very interesting thing to see. The same would go with Valen Wood. And it's an alien kind of landscape. There's different plants that you'll find in other parts of Tamriel. Well, there's
kind of like Morrowind. You have the weird mushrooms.
There are a couple alchemical ingredients that were introduced into Cyrodiil. I think Dragon's Tongue was one of them. But aside from that, there isn't much in the Black Marsh that we've really seen before. Yeah, there's trees, but they're unique, and there's this kind of grass that actually grows over the pathways. And you want to know why Black Marsh is so hard to travel through? If you looked up a little bit more about it, people talk about why it's so hard to travel through, is there's this kind of grass there that grows over the pathways and eats non-native life. It's pretty hardcore.
That'd be one part why it'd be pretty hard to, set the game there, but...
And for reference, the grass I was talking about is called flesh flies.
Flesh flies? That's a weird name for grass.
It is. But the Empire has done countless campaigns of funding, basically, to try to get trade throughout the Black Marsh established. And it really hasn't worked out because of that reason. But what makes Black Marsh even more unique is because they don't have paths that are easy to travel by, they have waterways, Dave. Waterways that you can travel by, which would be interesting to see real-time gondola versus just fast travel gondola, as a service. Of course, the Argonians probably swim, but if they were allowing other people into the province for whatever reason, we'll go over that later, then they would probably have a gondola service, or some older Argonians who can't really move that well might need a gondola service. We don't really know too much about it. Again, we've never been there except for an arena and the Elder Scrolls Online, but that's not considered canon at all.
Well, Elder Scrolls Online is not canon. It is not Coda-made canon.
But that's not the only kind of travel they have. What's interesting to know is they also have underground travel. So the above ground is difficult to travel in, but waterways and underground, perfectly easy, which you wouldn't think that.
You'd think it the other way around. But
yeah, well, whatever. But that's kind of an interesting fact to note about it, so it would give the player a kind of new experience. Not only you have this place that has really thick and dense forests that obviously Bethesda made it in Black Marsh, they would have to get that right. But there's also travel that's completely different. Yeah, you could probably get a horse, but it's probably gonna die.
Actually, I want, if it is in Black Marsh, just walking around, all of a sudden your horse's legs just fall off and the grass eats them. And
that would happen.
Although, actually,
but there's a new chance for new mounts, Dave.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you could have a horse, like you're beginning mount that dies really quick. But what are the native mounts? Are there guars there?
No, Dave, that's in Morrowind. No, there's different kinds of lizard creatures. What I'm thinking is, instead of getting regular mount, Bethesda could take some liberty here, Dave, with making a water-based mount. Something we've never done before. Never had an Elder Scrolls. Not a dolphin. God, I hate dolphins. But it could be a large reptilian creature that is mostly aquatic or amphibious.
Like an alligator.
Like an alligator. Sort of. I mean, they have creatures there that are like that. I can't remember the name of them off the top of my head. But they are also very violent. But having them as a mount would be interesting, or a creature similar to that as a mount would be interesting. Going through the waterways, you'd be going a lot faster. So you wouldn't even need a gondola service at that point if you had something like a mount that could swim through the water and take you through the underground paths if you're really that lazy.
Well, it'd be interesting if they, you could swim it in the water, but then it could also go on land. But if it went on land, it was really slow.
Oh yeah, it could be a lot slower on land. A lot of things that are amphibious tend to be really quick in the water, but not necessarily. Not a lot of things. I'm saying some things don't tend to be as quick on land as they are in the water. Crocodiles and alligators, for example, they're pretty fast in the water. On land, they're just mediocre.
You want to know why they're fast underwater?
Because they gotta go fast.
No, they actually run on the bottom.
Yes, well, they can also swim. They have those broad tails, great for paddling.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't work so well on land.
Oh, actually, wait, no, is that hippos? I forget.
That's hippos. Anyway, that's not the point. Ignore Dave. That's what I do all the time, and it works. It just works.
And that's why you're an idiot.
Yeah, I'm still winning like Charlie Sheen. Anyway, but that's not all there is to the Black Marsh, and this is kind of the part we're going to discuss a little bit more of the difficulties of Black Marsh, not as in depth as we could, but the Black Marsh may have this wonderful terrain of these vast swamps, these thick forests, and these interesting wetlands, but it also has, noxious gas. It's ripe with disease, and it has toxic rain that comes down from the sky. All very difficult to deal with. Isn't that right, Dave?
Yeah, but I actually think they could, one thing I was thinking about is, I've been thinking about how they could keep, the Elder Scrolls going, but keep it, because right now the big thing is random number generation, a different generation, junk, dungeons and stuff. And I was thinking, maybe, kind of like, there's the glowing sea in Fallout 4, they could have an area that has super thick gases that you enter through a tunnel, and the gases, they use it as an excuse that when you go in there, it's a randomly generated forest area that's enclosed, and it'd be randomly generated, so that'd be a dungeon.
Maybe.
I thought that was an interesting idea I had.
I'm not a huge fan of the random gen. I prefer things more set in place, but, again, opinion. But that'd still be interesting, and there are a few ways that we have thought of to make it playable. And it's not to say that you can't survive in the Black Marsh. Other Imperials have done it. Look it up. It's not that hard. I shouldn't have to name everybody here. There have been other species that used to live in the Black Marsh that were not Argonians, but they were still native to the land. They were driven out. You can survive there. It's just going to be really difficult. We think this would provide a unique challenge to the player character and to Bethesda to make something that would be a little bit more difficult. And this is what we're talking about when we want more difficulty in the Elder Scrolls. We want a harder time, not just more damage. We actually want things to be more difficult to do in general. So this would be an interesting concept for Bethesda to try to work around, to get newer players who really don't want something a little bit more difficult. They want something easier maybe even than Skyrim, which Skyrim was ridiculously easy. It'd be fun to see how Bethesda handles that to make them want to play it as well. And we have a couple of ideas. As some of you may already know, the Black Marsh invaded Morrowind during the Red Year, and they took a lot of land from Morrowind. But House Redoron led an attack, fighting back, and took back most of the land. They still hold part of southern Morrowind. In the next game, there could be a story similar to the Civil War story that was in Skyrim, since I know people seem to love that for some weird reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, it wasn't the best part of the game.
It wasn't good at all. It was really badly done. But somebody likes it. But they can make it so that Morrowind is trying to take back the rest of the land, including land that they lost countless ages ago, that they used to hold. You can read about that in Morrowind. In Vivek's plans to defeat Dagother, he talks about the potential to take back land from the Argonians and the Nords in Skyrim and Black Marsh, respectively, that they used to own a long time ago. So there is that aspect. They could also be trying to fight back to get that, and the player could have a chance to work with them or work with the Argonians to keep the Dunmer out, or help take back the land and take some of Black Marsh away. But the reason why this would help is because the Telvanni, wizards, and the possibility of a broken off Telvanni group that would be kind of like a new Mages Guild, since Mages Guild was disbanded. There would be like a new Mages Guild suppressing the land with magic. If you know the lore surrounding Cyrodiil, if you read A Pocket Guide to the Empire, you know Cyrodiil is supposed to be way more forested, way more rainforesty, and the BS lore that Bethesda came up with is that Tiber Septim used Kim, or Chim, however you like to say it, to clear the land. Magic. Magic, Dave. Magic. So they could use magic to suppress the land, which would include suppressing diseases, suppressing the gases, making beasts less hostile. Mm-hmm. The main problem would be fighting the Hist, because the Hist are sentient trees, which are very powerful.
Sentient trees! I did have one thing I wanted to add, though. I thought it would be interesting is if Bethesda took a note from BioWare. Yeah, as much as I do not like a lot of what things BioWare do,
I see what you did there. Do not. I see what you did there, Dave.
That I do think they should incorporate origin stories. That was something that Dragon Age Origins had, and if
Plot twist, its origins.
Yeah, I know. If you didn't know, you actually selected your starting. No, I don't want it full on like that, but I think there should be like 3 or 4 starting different stories. So I think. What I think would be interesting is, okay, fine, you can, like if you said you start Morrowind and you're attacking Argonia, that, you can play as whatever, but if you start in Black Marsh, I think they should bring back half-breeds. Not only should they have half-breeds, they should have the different levels of Argonians, because in the lore, there's actually Argonians that are way more lizard-like, and there's ones that are way more human-like. So bring different things, and you could actually pick as playing as like almost completely lizard, or almost like, way more human, or maybe something that's in between, like you were the offspring of a human and Argonian. That's why you start in Argonia. That would be
basically,
interesting.
It can give you a reason to be immune to the problems around. Yeah. And another thing I was thinking is you could be, because every Bethesda game apparently starts with you being in a prison, except for Daggerfall, which you're kind of in a prison. The fact that you are trapped in a hostile area with a bunch of monsters. It's basically a prison. That you could be a prisoner, taken during an effort either by the Old Mary Dominion or the Empire to take Black Marsh back, because they're getting ready for the Second Great War, and the Old Mary Dominion wants the resources, or I don't know. Mm-hmm. The little details aren't important here. What's important is the fact that you could be a prisoner, and for some reason, you are able to survive in the Black Marsh with no problem. Now, that would be kind of like an easy mode, and maybe that would be optional, but there is nothing in the lore saying you cannot survive there at all. Yes, there have been a few epidemics, a few flus that wiped out everything that's not an Argonian that lived there. We won't mention the names of these diseases. You can look them up yourself. Just know that the Hist and the Argonians are very suspicious, and they probably were conspiring together to, have an ethnic cleansing.
Ethnic cleansing, yeah!
And people call the Dunmer bad. The Argonians were selling their own people into slavery to the Dunmer. Let's keep that in mind. But another reason I bring up that little dichotomy there, and also, surviving in the Black Marsh, is because if you choose to play as an Argonian, you should, first of all, be able to survive in the Black Marsh very easily. No problems. Mm-hmm. And second of all, only be able to help the Black Marsh fight against Morrowind. There are different factions that are going to be possible in this game. They're going to have mutual exclusiveness. And if there is a thing with the southern portion of Morrowind, that would include Great Houses of Morrowind if you're not an Argonian. Mm-hmm, which would give people an incentive to play as different races that have different play experiences and do multiple playthroughs. So the Great Houses, you'd only be able to join one, and there'd be hopefully a break-off group from the Telvanni. It's like a Mages Guild you could join, but would make joining the Telvanni extremely hard or impossible.
Yeah, it's been too long since there's been things you actually can't do because you played the game differently. Like, I want that to come back.
Mm-hmm. That needs to come back, and Black Marsh presents us with a great opportunity for that. There is a group in the Black Marsh that during the Red Year were leading the charge against Morrowind, trying to take the land from them. It's the Anzali. I probably am butchering the hell out of that.
Anzali?
But it is an Argonian-only faction that has been fighting against the Dunmer. And of course, recently they've come to more of a less of a standstill. No one's doing anything. But
I'm tired. No.
Yeah, exactly. They're probably exhausted. If you were an Argonian, you could join them and help them. But if you were not an Argonian, you could not join them, and they would make a point of trying to kill you.
Kind of like, if you're not in the Dark Brotherhood.
Yeah, well, the Dark Brotherhood's dicks anyway. They don't care what race you are. But that brings us up to another interesting tidbit about Black Marsh. Who do they worship? Dave, do you know who the Argonians worship?
Do they worship the trees?
Well, yes, directly. They worship the Hiss, but who do they revere as the creator, Dave?
I don't remember.
I'll give you a hint. It has something to do with the Dark Brotherhood's god.
They worship the Night Mother?
No.
I don't remember that.
Sithis.
Okay.
Yes. The Argonians indirectly worship the Sithis. They actually more or less revere him as the creator, and they worship the Hist. It's kind of weird. But the Hist also kind of worship the Sithis in a way. It's all kind of convoluted. But the Dark Brotherhood's going to make a comeback. And another reason why I think Black Marsh would be great is because if the southern portion of Morrowind, again, was in it, there is an option. A couple options here. First option, if you want to play as an Argonian and you choose the birth sign of the Shadow, you're automatically a member of the Dark Brotherhood to start the game.
Mm-hmm.
Because Shadow Scales are Argonians who are born under the Shadow and given to the Dark Brotherhood by their parents, by the Argonians, as kind of a form of reverence of Sithis. So they're kind of supplying the Dark Brotherhood with very invisible assassins.
Now, do Shadow Scales actually have different color scales?
No. And they could in the next game, who knows?
Darn.
But in Oblivion they didn't, and Skyrim they didn't. They just had regular scales.
Sad face.
But you never know. Things change. And it could be a different breed of Argonian, who knows? But if you were born as an Argonian and you choose the Shadow as your birth sign, you're automatically a member of the Dark Brotherhood. However, if you are not an Argonian or did not choose the Shadow as your birth sign, there could be a chance you could join the fabled
Moragdong?
Yep. And the reason I bring that up, I know they're only in Morrowind. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, they're only in Morrowind. You can't have them in the next game. If it takes place in Black Marsh and Southern Morrowind, you can. They could be helping to fight the war. And I know usually they're only in house wars and they assassinate members of different houses, but they could be used to fight in the war to take back Southern Morrowind and a little bit of extra that Vivek wanted a long time ago. And there's more potential to this. Again, quest opportunities. If you join them, you can't join the Dark Brotherhood, obviously. If you don't join them, you can, even if you're not an Argonian, join the Dark Brotherhood. But it'd be mostly Argonians in there. But if you join them, you'll also have a chance to help wipe out what remains of the Dark Brotherhood, or if you join the Dark Brotherhood, what remains of the Moragdong. So, counter quests. They're kind of like, fighting each other. Will give you more options as a player, and of course, lead to more playthroughs, because one has some kind of reward, one has the other kind of reward.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, if you join the Moragdong and you finish the main quest and all that, and you take back the land, you can probably assassinate some members of different houses as well, because why the hell not?
Just because,
People seem to like this whole assassinating everything in these games, so...
Kill all the things!
Kill all the things. So that is a distinct possibility, and this brings up the idea of religion. Now, the Elder Scrolls, it's been a long time since you could join a religion. You couldn't do it in Skyrim, you couldn't really do it in Oblivion either, even with the Knights of the Nine DLC, people still didn't really revere you as a worshiper of a single deity or group of deities, because you could still go do Daedra quests. While Daedra quests could still be possible in the game, there would be an option to make it harder to do them if you choose a religion, like the religion of the Dunmer, worshipping, well, of course, that's 3 Daedra, worshipping the 3 Daedra that they worship, making it hard for you to interact with other Daedra because they know that who you really serve. You could join an imperialized religion that be maybe a small faction on the west side of the Black Marsh that's kind of hidden away. Kind of like people hiding out, worshipping like the Daedra worshippers used to do. Or you could join the Argonians in their worship of Sithis. 3 different factions, each one with their own quest lines to help grow their influence. And, of course, each one of these you affect helps grow more influence in one way or the other.
Pretty much, just Bethesda, take the religions mod for Skyrim and just copy-paste that. And add to it a little bit.
Edit it a bit, make it better. I'm saying, allow it to affect the outcome of the game a little bit, in some way, because we have too many static outcomes in the games anymore. And we would like something a little bit different. Look at Daggerfall for different outcomes. Every little thing you do should have, an effect on the other things. Now, we're not quite done yet. There is a bit more we need to explore. Besides the fact there could be unique weapons and armor in this very strange land, going into such a foreign landscape gives Bethesda a creative license like what they had in Morrowind. We have had 3 out of the past 5 games be exclusively in human provinces. Daggerfall, Oblivion, and Skyrim.
Boring.
That's gotten boring. We would like to see something different. And if you go to Black Marsh, there's all kinds of different architecture there. There's not just Argonian architecture. There's some architecture influence from the Imperials, some from the Dunmer. You know, you can have all kinds of different styles. New creatures, wild-looking plants.
Plants that kill you.
Plants that kill you.
There should literally be Ents in the game.
Well, the Spriggans are everywhere. You can't get rid of Spriggans.
No, bigger. Okay, fine.
Spriggans.
Call them Big Daddy Spriggans.
Big Daddy Spriggans. They have a drill in their hand. I think that's kind of copyright infringement, Dave. I could be wrong.
Big Papa Spriggans.
Papa Spriggans! But there is a creative license here they have not had in a long time. And I say a long time because Morrowind's 14 years old.
And Skyrim is pretty old now, too. Like, when did that come out?
2011.
It's 5 years.
11.
5 years old. That's the old in video game.
Almost 5 years old.
That's old in video game years.
So it's been a while since they have done something extremely creative and alien and foreign. Now, a lot of people may say this is going to turn off the newer fans.
I don't give a
crap. The casual
crap.
fans. Well, we may not give a crap. Bethesda would give a crap, but I don't think it will. This is going to give these fans a chance to see something new and unique. And quite literally better than the other games because it's different. It's going to be fun. I don't think Skyrim and Oblivion were really that great in terms of fantasy because they're just copy-paste, boring old fantasy. Dragons, demons, minotaurs, all that kind of stuff. Now, I'm not saying they were bad games, but they were generic. This is something that's unique. It's not generic. And when people see that, they're going to latch onto it. And the proof of this is, look at Morrowind. It has a dedicated modding community, but that goes back and looks at what Morrowind is right now to the Morrowind community. They'll realize how die-hard of fans they're going to get. Morrowind fans are remaking the Morrowind engine. All right, the entire engine from scratch without being paid. There's Tamriel rebuilt. There's companion mods that take advantage of all the possibilities of the scripting in Morrowind and Script Extender to make the game feel more alive. That kind of stuff isn't as well refined in the later games, in my opinion. And the people don't seem as dedicated to their mods as the Morrowind modders do. So doing something like this would also give Bethesda a chance to get a more dedicated crowd going.
Dedicated crowd!
And that would be great. But there's even more to it than that. The Black Marsh is actually quite a bit smaller than it used to be. A lot of it sank into the ocean a long time ago, before the first
California?
Kind of like California's doing. California is like Black Marsh, only, even further in the past.
Oh!
Yep, I went there. This gives us a chance for something we haven't had in an Elder Scrolls game yet. Massive underwater exploration. There could be a quest line of these archaeologists that are Argonians who are kind of neutral in this whole war going on with Morrowind, who want your help to map out the cities that were lost, get some information about those cities and the culture, see if it's any different from what they have today, and basically, look into their history, learn a lot more about the Black Marsh and Argonians from before the First Era. That would be amazing, and the prospect of these things being possible, if Bethesda chooses the Black Marsh, means it's going to draw in even more people, because there's a lot more to it. There's more meat there. Just because the NPCs aren't all human-faced doesn't mean people aren't going to get into it. We can't know until we try. I guarantee if Bethesda had chose to re-release Morrowind instead of Skyrim, remaster it completely from scratch and make it like Skyrim, a ton of people would have gotten into it just by word of mouth.
That's probably true.
It's got such a great story, it's such a deep game, people would love it. Now, we move on to the main piece. Alright, now on to the main meat of the video, I guess you could say.
What?
The main part that everyone's waiting for, why Black Marsh would be an excellent game because the main story possibilities.
All of them.
Well, there's actually one in particular that we're going to be discussing that would be, I feel, an amazing main story and would keep up there with, the main villain being some powerful beast and not like, the army of a bunch of high elves who are yellow.
That's racist, Dave.
It is racist, but Tamriel's all about racism, Dave, and so is this war. Alright, so some of you may have read the book Mysterious Akavir and know that the great dragon tiger, Tosh Raka, wants to invade Tamriel after he's done killing the Saci.
Which, by the way, is Toast Raka. It totally sounds like toast on the rocks, but whatever.
Okay, Dave.
What? You don't...
Wow, that was random as hell.
Well, it's, it sounds like an alcohol with toast.
But anyway, Tosh, Raka, and the Capo Tongue could invade Tamriel. And what better time for them to do that? I mean, Tosh Raka's been dealing with the Saesi. He's kind of allied himself with the Tangmo for now because he hates the Saesi that much, even though he doesn't really like the Saesi. And this could lead into other things happening. The Tangmo are monkey people, by the way.
Well, they should die.
Yeah, well, dang, Dave. Wow, Dave, that was just messed up.
What?
The Tangmo could be involved in this in some way, up to and including betraying Tosh Raka. But the idea here is, why this would be the perfect time for this story, is that Skyrim just had a huge civil war, and Tamriel just dealt with a dragon invasion of Alduin, one of the supposed most powerful dragons in all of the lore of the Elder Scrolls, right up there with Akatosh, and some even say Tosh Raka could be an aspect of Akatosh. Exactly. This could be another powerful dragon story that will keep people hooked, Dave. It'll keep people hooked.
He plays the Dragonborn again.
No. But the Skyrim's had to deal with the main bulk of a civil war on top of the dragon invasion, and the Dragonborn being there may be unifying Skyrim and whatever's left of Tamriel, which is, well, Skyrim and Cyrodiil and a little bit of High Rock. Since Hammerfell has left, Black Marsh has left, and they've invaded Morrowind, who is basically a bunch of refugees at this point, just trying to get their land back, fighting back against them. And then you have the Old Dominion of the Wood Elves, Khajiits, and Altmer. And they're planning a second Great War with the Empire, should the Empire turn against them. So that second Great War, it's on the verge of happening, and the Dragonborn can be the one who leads the Empire into war, getting Hammerfell back on their side, starting the clash, and something could happen with Black Marsh, with Morrowind fighting them. Everyone's weakened. There's been too much going on. This is the perfect opportunity for Tosh Raka and the Capo Tongue to strike. Now, the Capo Tongue, there's a lot of lore behind them, and you can actually go watch Roshank Redemption's video on it. I will link that on an annotation on screen.
In the down low.
and in the description for all those of you who can't click on annotations on mobile. I know, I have a phone. As crazy as it may sound.
What?
I know. But you can go watch his video for a bit more in-depth information on this. But basically, the Capo Tongue are these tiger folk who idolize dragons. They want to become dragons. And Tosh Raka has reportedly become a dragon. And not just any kind of dragon, the largest dragon, period. Some say even bigger than Alduin. Dave is laughing hysterically for some stupid reason. Which, by the way, Alduin was really underplayed in the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. He is in lore far more powerful. That should not have been that easy.
I was just thinking of a giant dragon, but he has the head of the tiger and how retarded it would look.
Yes, that would look pretty bad. But he actually looks like a tiger, Dave. He's said to be orange with black stripes. The dragon itself. He's a dragon.
That's fine.
And whether or not he can, transform into a dragon at will, or if he's permanently a dragon, or if it's only metaphorical and he just gained an immense amount of power akin to the power of a mighty dragon, is unknown, because we've never met him. We've never taken a trip over to Akavir. And of course, this also, if this is the main story, opens up possibilities for potentially a new playable race. I know that's not very lore-friendly to some people, but there are people out there who want it. And I'm not saying I would approve of that, but it's potential, including the Tangmo if they betray the Capo Tongue.
So wait, how many other animal races am I not aware of?
Quiet, Dave. You don't need to know. The Saesi are snakes, Dave.
Ooh,
yeah, so they're vampire snakes. Anyway, that's that.
I suddenly really want a game in Akavir.
That I was gonna say, there could be a DLC that takes us to part of Akavir. I don't know really how expansive that could be. I mean, if it's on next-gen consoles, it could be possible.
Next-gen consoles.
Next-gen consoles, it could be possible. Because that would be a pretty big land match, even if they only went to one quote-unquote province or empire. And you got to remember, they're also, if you've never seen Akavir Blade in the game, they're also a lot like the Asians. Mostly the Japanese samurai. So there's a bunch of new weapons and armor that could be brought in that we haven't even explored yet. New magic that could be brought in. Potential DLC to go to Morrowind some more if the invasion continues. Because it won't just hit Black Marsh. When they're coming over, they're going to hit Morrowind as well. So if the invasion continues all the way up the eastern flank of Morrowind, there could be a potential for DLC going along the entire east side, or maybe just the whole mainland of Morrowind, protecting it from the invasion of the Capo Tongue. So the main story prospect right there, just that, makes me want to have the Elder Scrolls VI set in Black Marsh and Southern Morrowind.
Mm-hmm. That would just be absolutely awesome, I think. Just more races.
There'd be more races. It's technically a race war, so everybody can get their race war going. It's going to add to the racial tensions, I guarantee you, if some of them survive and decide to stay during the war. And, of course, people are saying, oh, well, if Akavir invades, then Tosh Raka is going to win, and there's just no point. No, there are some things that could stop Tosh Raka. The Dovahkiin stopped Alduin, Eater of the Worlds, the most powerful dragon, considered by a lot of Nords lore-wise.
Yeah, that's true. I was just thinking of a really interesting idea I just had in my brain. You know how in... they could bring the whole Tamriel together to fight them. Okay, so you have the Altmeri Dominion, when they're general, whoever the hell it is. Then you have Skyrim, when you have the Dragonborn. And I forget, the Neverine?
Neverine. He could come back.
Yeah, just in some other period of time, they'll explain in the story. He comes back and he retakes over Black Marsh. He helps the Dunmer take over Black Marsh. And the beginning intro scene is the three big armies, the Empire...
so everyone's fighting, basically.
Dunmer and Argonians and the Altmeri Dominion all fighting, and then the big dragon and monkey and tiger and snake people falling from the sky.
Well, the snake people wouldn't be involved, Dave. The Saci aren't going to be involved.
Shut the hell up. I want the snake people there.
Dave wants the Saci involved. They won't be if the story happens, but there are ways to stop Tosh Raka. One of the things was hinted, and some people still debate that the Neverine could actually be a Dragonborn, which might signal why he went to Akavir, to either stop Tosh Raka or prevent an invasion or hold off an invasion for as long as he can. And since it's the ancient land of dragons, well, he probably learned some shouts, and maybe he is a Dragonborn. The reason I bring this up is he could come back in the next game. If we don't get some closure lore-wise on him about what happened to him, what his fate was, and they bring him back and set him in the game, he could be part of the key to defeating Tosh Raka. You have to help him get to the, in a battle or whatever, just like you had to do with Martin Septim, where he became the avatar of Akatosh and took down Mehrunes Dagon. And there is an Easter egg in Morrowind. It was a mod for Daggerfall, and it was talked about in Redguard, the Eye of Argonia, a precious jewel valued beyond, imagination in terms of wealth, that is supposedly the key to the lost city of Argonia. What lay there? Why is this key in existence? We don't know. But what we do know is the fact that it does exist, or at least in lore it does, and that it could potentially unlock a very great power, perhaps with a hist or something, who knows, to help drive out such a dragon. Of course, this would mean that the Argonians of Black Marsh would be overpowered at that point and might be a real threat. Or they
took over all of Tamriel.
Yeah. Or the main character could, with that power in hand, if he was the one, or she, to fight Tosh Raka, using that power, absorb the power completely and destroy it, or just lose it after that fight so that such a power doesn't get out of hand lore-wise and take over Tamriel and ruin everything for everybody. So that prospect interests me greatly, and I would love to see that. And again, there's going to be new creatures, new races to fight if that's in there. There's going to be new weapons, new armor, the possibility of new magic, and it's going to bring back a dragon, which is going to bring back Skyrim fans. Obviously, they want to see another dragon. A dragon that rivals Alduin in terms of power and size, lore-wise. Of course, they screwed up Alduin in Skyrim. And I'm sorry, hardcore Elder Scrolls fans, that happened. It really does depress me, too. Dave, get depressed.
I'm depressed already.
Okay, Dave's depressed.
I just have to think of the election.
This Dave thinks about the election to get away from that. Wow, that is sad. You effed up, Bethesda. That is really bad. But it has a whole slew of things that could happen, a lot of promises, and the entire idea of the Capo Tun trying to become dragons. And we don't know exactly how they do it. There's some theories out there. But, well, we don't know how Tosh Raka did it. We don't know if any others have done it. But there are theories out there on how it could be possible. Leads to other possibilities in magic as well with this invasion. Things you could learn from captured prisoners of the Capo Tun. Maybe potential allies who are wanting to defect away from the Capo Tun. They have different views. They're liberals or whatever. Or the Tang Mo. If the Tang Mo are involved as allies helping them out and they're not back at the homestead holding ground to protect the land from the Saci. all kinds of things could happen. And again, with the DLC, if the DLC takes you to Akavir, there could be something with the Saci. So you might be able to see the Saci and the Tang Mo. Maybe the Tang Mo start losing ground, and a letter is supposed to get delivered to Tosh Raka during the main quest, but you end up finding it because the messenger dies and a leaflet blows to you on the wind. You pick it up, and that kicks off the DLC.
Prison.
No, while you're walking around. Kicks off the DLC.
Oh.
So, you know, it's kind of like how Bethesda does these stupid things to get you into the DLC. Like in Skyrim, the Dragon Priest came and attacked... Well, not the Dragon Priest, the Acolytes came and attacked you.
Mm-hmm.
So, something like that, along those lines, could happen to get you over to Akavir. You know, even if it's just a small portion of it, it's better than nothing. To be able to see a new land, new architecture, which would be amazing, and all sorts of new and amazing things. Plants, religions, all sorts of craziness. So that's why we want this to be the next game. We want Black Marsh to be the next game because the potential for this story. Tell us below in the comments what you thought of the video.
Tell us what other videos you want us to do in the future.
And if you liked the video, we would really appreciate it if you hit that like button there, and even subscribed if you're not a subscriber yet. And it would really help us if you shared our videos so other people could see the horribleness that is the lingering trees.
The cancer. The growing cancer.
The growing
cancer trees.
Oh, God. Now, that's it for this video, but next week we'll be doing weapons with hopefully Chris as a co-star.
Special guest.
Special guest. Special.
Special in quotations.
That's terrible. But we will see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching, and have a very blight-filled day. This is Dagoth Earth, signing out.